Dave Chappelle's been in big trouble. Dave Chappelle had a Netflix special. Dave Chappelle mocked the idea that a boy can become a girl. And now he's in big trouble. And there are protests at Netflix. And the Netflix CEO initially stood by Chappelle, but now he's kind of caving and he's going weak. And Dave is under the gun. So Dave released a response to the transgender activists who are demanding his head on a platter. And Dave's response was, in my view, pitch perfect.
To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
Absolutely right. And so the punchline is what everyone's focusing on here. Hannah Gadsby was trending yesterday. She is this woman who did a Netflix comedy special, but the whole hook of the special was that she wasn't actually doing comedy. They said she has redefined comedy because what she said wasn't funny and it was all just kind of sad. And it wasn't even really supposed to be funny. It was just sad. And so she had redefined comedy and this was the new comedy. And by the way, there was a word for the new comedy. It's called tragedy. But the idiot critics did not know. I guess they didn't know that word at the time. So audiences hated Hannah Gadsby's special, but the critics loved it. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 90% plus. I think it's like 96% critic score and a very, very low audience score. Then if you look at Chappelle's special, it's got a very low critic score, but a very high audience score. That's how you can tell that Dave Chappelle is doing a good job. So everyone's focusing on the punchline. You got to do this, you got to do this, and you got to admit Hannah Gadsby's not funny. But the setup of the joke is what's more important politically. I'm not just playing the Chappelle clip because he's a funny guy and we can all get a laugh. I'm doing it because he's got a political lesson here. And the political lesson is throughout, and it's really more focused on the first two things he says. He frames the debate. Chappelle obviously understands politics. So right now he's being protested. There's a lot of money on the line. I mean, he gets paid very well for these specials. And if Netflix isn't going to work for him anymore, and if the radical leftists and the LGBT, LMNOP activists are successful, then he's not going to work again. And he's going to lose millions and millions of dollars. And maybe Chappelle doesn't care. He's a wealthy guy, but I think he wants to keep doing comedy. And so what he does is he goes, listen, I'm willing to talk to you people. Sure, you're demanding that you talk to me. He had another funny line in his response where he said that the transgender people are saying they don't feel safe. He goes, I'm the only person who's not allowed into the Netflix office right now. I'm the only one who's being threatened here. You guys aren't being threatened at all. But he frames the debate. He says, I'm willing to talk to you on my terms. You do it. First of all, you have to watch my special. I'm putting a constraint on you. I'm making a demand of you. Then you got to come where I want you to come. Then you got to do it at a time when I want you to do it. And then you need to admit, this is the little cherry on top. When he says you need to admit that Hannah Gadsby's not funny, what he's saying is you need to admit that I have a point. And you need to admit that the people support me. And you need to admit that the people support me because I'm right. Okay? There's a lot here. This is the reason it's funny. I mean, you know, it's the old line from any comedy club. People say, it's funny because it's true. Well, that's what's going on here. It's Dave Chappelle's special and his response are funny because they're true. And there's an important lesson. When you look at the people who are right now really standing up in executive positions in politics, whether it's at a comedy special or in Florida or or at the national level, DeSantis sets the debate. Donald Trump sets the debate. He's always framing the debate from his point of view. Whoever frames the issue wins the debate. Hey, you. Thanks for watching that clip. I'm glad you liked it. I enjoyed producing that clip for you. Sometimes people are not told when I put clips out there. I don't know, maybe our friends here at YouTube, maybe they don't always want to tell people. One way you can ensure that you will get notifications, ring that bell, subscribe. The best way to ensure you get notifications, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. Type in The Michael Knowles Show, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next time.